Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Lucid, and I'm once again joined by Sai.
This is Sai, and I'm once again joining the ineffable Lucid on another turn of Dominion 5.
Yes, we've got what looks like a pretty chill episode, as kind of a. You could argue, Gath predicted it. I think we could have probably predicted it too. A reasonable slowdown, which is going to come from basically people not wanting to lose a ton of shit to Vengeful Waters. So,
Yeah, so
uh,
TNG definitely still on a dying path, but they are both holding on for longer and dealing as much damage as they can on their way out, fighting back against Pangaea and Erythea, who have been grabbing their territory, as well as Xibalba, who most recently moved in to grab one of their thrones. But here we might see one big battle in Vaettiheim, where
yeah.
Xibalba did have a big army next door. But the rest of this, it looks like it's just that territorial push back and forth as Pangaea is pushing their dominion in order to actually finish TNG off.
Yeah, so let's look over here. We got a message from TNG. Latch. The main concern I have this turn is Zabalba doing a morale play on the Throne of Water. But that's your main concern is a morale play? Jesus.
I
I'm like,
mean,
what could you possibly do to defend against Zabalba?
yeah, I think that like just the Aussie count alone, like just weapons of sharpness on those Aussies, is going to be hard to the point that it will be very hard for TNG to answer that. I mean, we'd seen them do it before, but when they did it
Yeah.
last time, they did it with a massive commitment of gear and high-level casters in order to spam the shimmering fields to actually kill those ocelotls. Whereas in that
Yeah.
fort, I don't think he has the juice to just kill that many demons efficiently.
I don't think he does, but we see an interesting thing come up next. He says, so I'm going to dedicate an irresponsible amount of gear to counter that, and we're gatewaying in some forces. So he's bringing in a lot of troops, but I don't know if he's going to have enough mages to do that. But it's possible with demonic cleansing and enough buffs. It's possible he could. I mean, just bring in enough troops will do it. So
Yeah, that's definitely possible, actually. Given the stats on his sacreds, he can buff them up enough to just beat Ocelotls. But that's expensive to the point where, like, even if you win, you can't do it twice.
yeah, once they're there, we'll be breaking out, and I feel pretty secure facing any number of his forces once they are there. Of course, this assumes they all don't die in magic phase or assassinations. Alternatively, he braves Vengeful Waters and flies 400 Aussies on our capital, which would be quite annoying. Someone hitting us with Earth attack every turn. I'm very jealous. It feels badly watching the streams. Oh, watching the steams, hearing you guys talk about our Thug Bless when most of this first half of the game we could not even have afforded the Earth gems for lion pelts.
Yeah, if
I
they were
don't
Earth
think,
4.
yeah, I don't think we've even had non-cap Earth income until after we made gains on Pythium. I have no complaint about the income as a whole, but man, it would have been fun to have more Earth. Getting pretty tired. There are things I feel I should be setting plans into motion for, just in case things develop in certain ways or armies move in directions. I don't think they will, but I just can't be bothered to work it all out while doing this mostly solo. Pan hit a fort with what I think was a double flames from the sky. We put so much investment into making armies resistant to that sort of play. Now the resilience is gone, but the spells are doing basically nothing. Um,
No, kind of talked about this before, how TNG just having higher than normal HP and inherent armor on their mages does make them a little more resilient when it comes to this particular type of late game battlefield shenanigans.
yeah. Also, I think what he's saying here about like a little fatigue and playing when you don't really have a chance of winning. Yeah, I think like one thing you can do when you get in this position is just not being bothered too much about all like you don't the goal when you're in this position like you're kind of losing but you want to give everybody else a good game and all of that is like you don't need to plan out every eventuality and script perfectly and all these things, but I think it's like almost like a courtesy, right? And you're just doing the best you can and doing it quickly, and there's fun in that too. Like the fun in that is like
Lower
seeing how, like
pressure.
I wonder
Yeah.
how will this army fare against this. It's no longer like really trying to make sure you win. It's like, well, if I did this, what would happen? And it's treating it more like a sandbox environment to just see how things go.
Agreed. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a lot of the upside to subbing into losing positions in last stands as well.
Yeah. So, but still, they're doing a great job scripting everything. Okay, further message. Sending our god to the throne of water is part of our super convoluted script. He's holding up our globals, so this will be really foolish if he dies, but oh well, go big or go home. If Zabalba storms the fort this turn and doesn't get lucky with murdering winter or assassins and takes out key mages with cold resistance and enough troops, we should see a rather spectacular show. I'm not sure I've seen him use those yet. He has seen
And what he
uh
has seen go into that fort hardly merits it. So hopefully things work out.
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And I actually think
So
that's a good read. Like I for sure,
yeah.
we kind of talked about this last time about saying like he probably gateways the army out or tries to vortex it out rather than gatewaying in to defend, because the only
Yeah.
chance he has to defend is this, super high commitment gateway play, which I don't think Shabalba would expect. I certainly wouldn't expect
I
him in
wouldn't
this
have
position.
expected it. I was thinking, I was right there with you. I was like, let's put rings of returning on these mages. Let's get them the fuck out. Or, vortex of returning. Like, it's go time, boys. Okay. Gath. Let's talk about the Zabalba matchup. I've never been able to reach him in terms of numbers, so I'll have to answer with something else. More so, over the last few turns, I've had to slow down seer production because other things have more priority. Sheds, demon lords, and expanding blood. Perpetual storm is very important, and I started to persuade other people that it is in their interest as well, because I will not be able to counterbalance Sabalba, which may or may not be true. I think he can certainly counterbalance Sabalba, but this is really good diplomacy, I think.
Yeah,
Like, you
convincing
get
people
people
that like
worried about something, you get them convinced they can do something like that's reasonably easy, like just put up a global and things will be better. I mean, Zabalba is a super fucking scary nation in the late game, but so is Gath.
yeah, and Storm messes up Shabalba's logistics dramatically.
Yeah.
Like Jabalba's one of their big late game strengths is just having these super high map move stealthy mages so that any given army can have any given mage composition. And Perpetual Storm definitely puts a damper on that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just gonna lower it's gonna just even the Aussies, right? They have pretty good map move, but they're no longer gonna be zipping around the map nearly as fast.
Yeah, and it
Um,
also means that you don't need to put a Storm Staff on every army because Storm's already up.
that's right. So yeah, and storm staffs are one of the major expenses in fighting Zabalban armies. The problem is that if Zabalba does a big dispel on an important turn, and you're counting on that storm keeping the Aussies from flying, and so you don't have storm staffs, that can go a little sideways. But yeah,
I think that Gath
uh,
has enough troops, particularly the Shadim, that he can kind of box in his mages at least, just incidentally. Like, yes, I expect
yeah,
Storm to go up, but even if there isn't a Storm, I don't at least get I don't get completely wiped.
yeah. Okay, I'm stockpiling air gems myself, but as you know, my air income is still very low, even after conquering Vaettiheim. Assuming Perpetual helps against his rating potential, fights for me should probably look like bugs and a lot of frontline chaff backed up by rigor, cleansing, dark skies, Shadim artillery, and magic. His assassination potential is great. It should be treated seriously, but I have a lot of sages who have less upkeep than scouts.
Yeah, once he finishes his research, all those sages are just they don't serve much for a role. So
Right,
cruising them around to be assassin bait is perfect use for them.
right. Rating and counter rating is, of course, a thing. Targeting his blood is a priority, just like targeting mine should be a priority for him. I have some cool tricks, which you might have already identified. If not, you'll see them in action when the time comes.
Yeah, I'm
Cool.
hoping for more horror stuff.
Yeah. So the big question is whether it benefits him or me to delay the war. The answer is not certain, and a lot will depend on his success in capturing the Veti capital and the Throne of Water. Zabalba getting bigger and bigger also helps keep Pan friendly with me, which I'm not relying on, but it is of course a bonus. I'm not expecting Pan to fight Zabalba. That's the other thing is he's placed Pan lower than Zabalba in terms of threat tier. So when he's thinking about going after Zabalba, I think what he's really thinking is he's in position 1 and he's going to be killing position 2.
Yeah, which
And
makes
so
sense.
he's thinking Pan in position 3 is going to be helping him or agnostic to him in position 1 killing position 2, which is certainly something anybody in position 1 would be very happy about. But I think the order is slightly different. I think it's him, then Pan, then Zabalba. But
Yeah.
anyway,
We kind of talked about this last turn, but yeah.
I'm not expecting Pan to fight Zabalba, but not being attacked by Pan also means a whole lot. P.S. Hurrah, my goddess found a 1 gem site in the final farmland province. Now searching the other 10 provinces for 20 turns, and no way results is justified. Oh, and no results is fully justified. Okay. And P.S. or PPS, I'm messaging you every turn now and starting to share my thoughts, assuming that you're liking it. Because not many major nations are still in the game, and most others are known to not be very talkative.
Yeah. Bullock doesn't
Well,
really like messaging that much, although we do have message from him this turn, and Pan hasn't really messaged us much at all.
this is from Toldi, so yeah.
Yeah. Still not from
That's the nice thing
yeah.
about with Hydras is you get more higher odds of rolling a talkative player.
True. Yeah.
Okay, message from Zabalba. Things are relatively stable in Zabalba's lands, knocks on wood, and sacrifice a few more blood slaves for good measure. There have been Diplo updates. We can't divulge some recent deals, although receptive viewers might have noticed some things on our borders the last few turns. Blood income isn't where we would want it, but we're still bringing new blood hunting provinces online. Patrolling down unrest is still hit or miss, but we should have more patrollers going out soon. I imagine we're still far behind the others in research, but our research per turn is finally looking decent for this stage of the game, for Zabalba that is. We're finally getting to the point where we can bring a lot of useful magic to further buff Aussies and Dork finds. Aussies might be a Zabalba Micklin staple, but Zabalba also has easy access to Dark Vines, which shine towards the late games if you can put the buffs on them. Quickness, Mass Regen, Army of Gold, etc. Just don't try to use Dark Vines as Soul Vortex batteries. Their MR is too high for that. And importantly, they're not demons. So this is one of the ways to turn blood slaves into chaff that's not vulnerable to demonic cleansing.
Darkvines also just do have a ton of stuff going for them, mostly just based on their massive HP and inherent armor-piercing attacks.
Yeah. Diplo is a daily roller coaster. I think Bullock probably spends more time doing Diplo than working on the turn. I'm mostly helping with the tedious blood micro, scout micro, and forging some stuff.
Okay. As far as blood micro goes, that's something that I like to do. Like, first I'll look through a turn and kind of like look at what happened, look what I'm doing, and so on. And then like while you do the blood micro, it's kind of just like a rote task that you do while Dominions is open. So the turn kind of like percolates in your brain and you're still looking at the map. So it's kind of helpful just to like kind of think through the turn while you're doing that rote micro. So even though it is, it's still just rote micro, it's still like, boring mechanically to do it. I actually think it's helpful as these turns get late to have that time just spent looking at the game, thinking through your turn, and kind of like being forced to actually think things through.
There's something like preach on, brother, but there's also something cathartic about it where it's like late game, there's so many complicated things that can happen. There's so many different things you can do. There's so many ways you can get punished. Sometimes it's nice just being able to put blood slaves on a scout and send him back, or get the blood slaves off a scout and put him in your lab. It's just like, it's a little slice of simplicity and like things going well. It's like a coin pops up on like some mobile game or something. You click it and it goes into your inventory. It just feels good. And there's not much of that in late game Dominions, where it's just like easily won rewards because of something you did.
Yeah, fair.
Let's see. Norfing's may be the throne. Let's start with this. This is.
Okay,
So this is an exploratory force.
Okay.
Oh.
So TNG actually did bring in a bunch of extra mages this turn. I wonder how they all got there. Are those like all Cladropies casts?
I think he probably had a lot of these guys here.
Okay.
But it's not that many. It's like 15 mages.
It's still a decent little ball there. So what are the...
With demonic cleansing, that probably would have killed him. Because he had demonic cleansing, he had Wailing Winds, and Rain of Stones.
Okay, he didn't have Rigor Mortis, which is the thing that's like a really big combo with demonic cleansing for putting the Aussies to sleep quickly.
I don't think he wants... I think he wants the Aussies to fly over here. Like they're gonna do really good hitting against this with the acid splash comboed with
Demonic
demonic
cleansing.
cleansing.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think that like okay, so Rigor with demonic cleansing does put them to sleep extremely quickly, but like they're still gonna land in the back line, right? Like it's not putting them to sleep too quickly before they can even arrive.
Yeah, no,
So
that's true. I
it
think
makes
the thing is, you just don't want things that are going to drag the fight out. Because if he does Wailing Winds, which is what Team Chi's worried about, then it's like, oh fuck, you know. But it's probably still fine to do.
yeah, and I guess he also doesn't want the double rigor thing to happen.
Yeah, that's another thing, and that hasn't been patched out of the game. That's still in here. I think that's working as intended. Sadly. All right, so that's one. That was where we might have had one battle. So let's see in Vaettiheim.
And that was the other place where I was thinking, okay, yeah, so Xibalba did in fact go all in.
Oh,
And Vaettiheim is patrolling with their god, so they are making a very serious defense attempt as well. But I mean, aside from
what
his
is the god gonna do?
oh, he doesn't have gems. That's unusual. I would have expected him to at least be the Wailing Wind.
Well, he's dead. He's dead. There's nothing. There's nothing he can do without gems to not die here, right?
I mean, unless Vaettiheim wins the battle. But yeah, I expected the god to be casting either.
No, I mean, he's not going to win the battle here.
Yeah, probably not. I was going to say like outside of the just the fact that Vaettiheim's guys are much smaller, making their side look much smaller. They also just like have much less stuff at this fight. Maybe the god the trigger gem spending. Oh yeah, that god got deleted. But if you were just bringing the god to trigger gem spending, you wouldn't also patrol with the Rim Veti.
Yeah, I think this was a mistake. I don't know. I can't fathom what he was thinking for this to be intentional.
It might have been that he was going to patrol and then canceled and then didn't change the god's orders.
Yeah. Look how fast he dies here.
Yeah, instantly deleted.
Instantly deleted.
If you wanted to use the god here, I could see him, like if you're bringing all of your other mages and so on. There is quite a lot that statue can do. Like not as a super combatant, but just as a big caster. Like he can do Soul Drain and Wailing Winds, for example. And if you have a decent, if you have a decent like blob around him with the rest of your mages and casters and so on, he can, have a very big impact on the fight.
Yeah.
And if he was just intending to use them as a gem bait, then he probably shouldn't have brought those Rim Veti as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
good. A spicy little battle here.
This is surprising, not in the sense of, Pan's raiding party, but just surprising in that Vaettiheim is making this big commitment to try to defend this province. Do you think he's moving these guys in to support a defense on his capital? Because I believe that some of these guys were or had retreated out from the periphery of his provinces.
Now, Skelly spam should be one of the things that's kind of okay against this. Like, he's a pretty good chance of burning out a communion eventually, right?
If you can kill them before they can kill your casters, yeah. But this
the Gaijas are getting stolen. Yeah, the enslaved mind is intense. And, I think he also needed Hal. I think Hal was the missing. Did he try to do Hal here? If he did Hal, I think he would have won this.
Well, the other thing is that Panji's bringing air elementals.
That's true. But Hal's still good against that, too.
Yeah.
I mean, not good, but it's not bad against it.
It at least helps, yeah.
Yeah. Kill 7 Centaur Sages, but clearly not worth it. Gets his vampire stolen.
And those Grey Knights are super high value units.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, stealing a Vampire Lord is a huge swing because that's an immortal unit that's not coming back for the enemy, and then you get a Vampire Lord. And those are one of those guys that absolutely are worth gift of reasoning.
Yeah. If they don't, especially if they don't have really bad afflictions. The only problem with stealing them is they're not as good as one you make because they can't die. So
their home province is deep in Veti territory. Although if it's a province you've captured, then it's fine. And they will say what their home province is.
Where do you see that? I don't know where to find that.
It's under morale, I believe.
Certainly. I thought it was a feature I thought got taken out in Dom 5.
No,
it doesn't say here. Yeah, I think it got taken out. I think you used to be able to tell. And then they're like, we're not going to tell you anymore. It used to also say in no mortality. It would be like home province such and such here.
Let me see if I can find this, because I was sure that I had seen home province before. But it might, as you say, have not been in Dom 5.
Yeah. I think they took it out, and I here's what I'm guessing, because they rework the UI for this every once in a while, like change where certain things are displayed. They might have taken it out by accident. That's also a very possible thing.
Is it coming back in 6?
I don't know. I need to check. I can probably put a note in. It's always a good. It's always a good time if you have like a feature you want Illwinter to put in. If you like sneak it in as like, hey, this is a bug report. It's something that used to be in DOM 4 and now it's not in there. Yeah, I can't find it. Oh my god, another kind of cool low commitment battle from Pan and Vetti. Oh, these guys are retreating. Some of them retreat, but some of them don't.
Did they get routed? Like
No, they were scripted to. They were like people who had like left some fort. I think the other secret sauce here, and it was something you mentioned, but like they're summoning a few elementals. I think without these elementals are doing a very good job of like helping keep things from actually getting in melee with the sages, which you really want to do because the enforced inaccuracy of Gift of Health, I mean Gifts from Heaven, will like hit your own sages and stuff.
Yeah, causes quite a bit of friendly fire.
And these elementals come in and they just keep everything right here where you can keep nuking them with various things. So, God.
Yeah, outside of the +1 bonus that you get for being in your home province, I don't see a place in the UI where it says what a unit's home province is.
Yeah. It definitely used to be there in some previous iteration, but
I know that Twiceborn changes your home province, but I don't think there's much else that does that. And obviously Vampire Lords can't do that.
yeah. It is funny, especially there's some. I wonder if they change it in 6 because I feel like there's a couple units in 6 that might have homesickness on them, like a couple new units. And homesickness is like, especially if it's on like casual units or something. I can't remember if that's what has it. It's definitely something where you want to know what the home province is.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's possible you could like. I bet that's true. I bet if you have a naiad, like you probably need to like rename it to its home province, because if you forget and it's deployed, like it's dead. You can't figure out where to send it home. Okay. TNG pings this. Let's see what Army Pan has here on top of this throne. This is low commitment. I feel like these are little opportunities where you kind of want to look to like, okay, this is a low commitment stack. Let's see, maybe we can try to take a fight off of them. Infantry patrolling scouts out here.
The with Vengeful Waters as like the bonus scoop.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. If you do have a scout, oh no, that's not true. I was gonna say if they patrol out the omniscience dudes, you can. They're really hard to patrol out though. But if you were to patrol them out, it does give you intel for anybody that did successfully sneak there. But nobody's going to successfully sneak while the omniscience guy gets patrolled out. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's go through. There's actually not much happening this turn. There were some really cool medium rating battles, but I think we've seen them now.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Make sure we didn't miss anything. Yeah, that was it. Oh man, 25 minutes. Quick one.
Yeah, this was like, even though this turn isn't like, the most featureless turn that we've casted, like, stuff did happen. There were actually some pretty significant battles. It's still something that's still continuing on the kind of slow grind as TNG is pushed down. And while there is potential for at least one more serious battle next turn between TNG and Chivalba, and then another between Vaettiheim and Chivalba, we're definitely entering kind of a slower pace as the major powers either try to push their dominion in Pangea's case, or arm up in Gast's case. The one thing we could try to look for in just last couple minutes is what Gast was talking about regarding the true movements on their border.
I think that was Vaettiheim or Zababla.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it was Xibalba. Yeah, they
Yeah,
were
let's
talking about
take a
moving.
peek. I mean, this is blood hunting stuff.
And that's been there as well. Yeah, obviously
I
there
mean,
was.
I think maybe he meant the attack on Vaettiheim. That we certainly noticed.
That's the only one I can think of. Yeah, because those Aussie squads down south are, I mean, potentially going to be attacking Gath, but it's not like a massive troop commitment, not to the degree that he has on Vaettiheim or the TNG throne.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what he's referring to here. I mean, he made military plays against this TNG throne and then against Vetti's capital. So that stuff is clear. I'm not really sure what
Yeah, the only
the
other
other.
mass that I can see would be potentially towards Gath,
Yeah.
because he has both like
Oh,
raiding
this is kind of
party size
interesting.
stuff on the borders there.
We haven't been looking at the blood setups here for how they've been hunting, but we see a bunch of Wayob and
Yeah, those are LA Shiv's most reliable, or sorry, most available blood mages, just because they're forest recruit.
right. It's 10 it's one way. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
And he's blood hunting really hard.
the only thing I could say is, as far as like troop movement goes, is that he has enough stuff on his Gath border that he can hit very, very many provinces at once. If that's the way that the war ticks off.
I don't really. There's no signs that Zabalba is thinking of fighting Gath. Just the signs are that Gath is thinking of fighting Zabalba.
Yeah,
But
that's the only player that Jabal is not currently fighting, towards which where like I see a sizable border build up to any extent.
yeah. Okay. So I think that's it. We got some fun things coming up. We get to see what's going to happen on this throne here with is TNG going to ride out? Because they've certainly lost a lot of surprise if they were going to, like Zabalba now knows what they're going to fight if they're going to storm. So we've got potentially some action here. There's an enormous doom stack from Arithia here that we might see go on top of this fort. You could see, oh god, this thing still isn't cracked yet. Oh god, look how much wall integrity is on that fort. And yeah, we probably are going to get to see the last of Vaettiheim ride out against Zabalba. So that'll also be really exciting for next episode. So fun stuff.
Yeah, look forward to seeing at least a couple of big battles.
All right, and thank you, Sai, for casting this with us. I know it's been a few kind of slow turns here, but
Yeah,
appreciate
totally.
it.
Fun as always.
All right, viewers, see you next time. Cheers.